And welcome, we have with us in the L-Town radio studio as part of our political 2018 Spotlight series on the candidates and our public servants. Here we have first up Mayor Ed Hatley. He is the Democrat nomination for the mayor of Lincolnton. So, Mayor, welcome so much.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for having this series. I think it's very important for people to realize who they have as candidates and which candidate would best suit their needs.
Well, and that's one thing that we want to do is we don't want to just ask questions. We want to showcase to our listeners and to the community who is Ed Hatley. So with that being said, who is Mayor Ed Hatley?
Well, Ed Hatley's a mountain boy. I was born and raised in Watauga County. Graduated from Watauga High, went to Appalachian State University, got my BS, MA, and EDS from Appalachian. Had a couple of jobs shortly after college, and during college I worked for Head Start in Watauga, Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey counties for a couple of years, and then moved down to Morganton, worked for United Cerebral Palsy, and then from Morganton moved to Lincolnton in January of 1974.
And you were actually you were a school teacher.
Yes.
And you taught special education, if I remember.
And speech pathology. I'm a speech pathologist by trade and have a double degree.
Very nice. Now, with what got you, and you actually went on to be the associate superintendent of Lincoln County Schools.
Mm-hmm. I was assistant and associate superintendent for 17 years. Prior to that, because I had been in Lincolnton since 74, started off in the old Lincolnton City Schools. That kind of dates you a little bit right there. Then worked for Lincoln County Schools after the merger, started off as a teacher there, and then got into administration, was assistant principal for a couple of years, and then was lucky enough to be principal at 3 different schools before going to the county office. I was at Iron Station, East Lincoln. It was junior high back then, and Northbrook.
So you were all over the map in Lincoln County there.
Yep, they shipped me out fairly early in my career, and I enjoyed being at each school. Has its pros and cons, but it's always a pleasure to serve in a different community.
Now let me ask you this: what got you in the political mood? What made you want to throw your name into the hat?
Well, I had decided after I had retired, I did a couple of interims, did a couple of principal's positions, did human resources director for the school system, did associate superintendent again on an interim basis, and decided that I wanted to, that I felt like I had the skills that were necessary to become a good school board member. I was elected school board twice, had to resign early. I served on school board for 7 years, then ran for mayor, was elected mayor. North Carolina has a law that you can only hold one elected position at a time.
Is that so?
So I decided that I wanted to go a little bit of a different route, go into municipal government.
Let me ask you this. You obviously got into this because you wanted to make a difference. How have you made a difference to Lincoln?
Well, one of the things that I have been lucky throughout life is that I'm a good communicator, and I like to listen. And the key to being a good communicator is that you have to listen to what people want. And that's what I have tried to do in the elected positions that I've held. I try to listen to people. You won't necessarily agree with all the actions that I take. Once you're elected, we are in a representative democracy, which means that you elect me to represent you, and I'll make the decisions that are best for Lincolnton. And once you're elected, you serve all the people. It's not any particular group, and people know that. And I think that that's what everybody seeks, and they appreciate that.
In recent news, and this has been going on for a while now, we go back to the noise ordinance. It was a very controversial issue for Lincolnton because of different aspects to that equation.
And the noise ordinance is just that. The way that I explained it to a young man the other day, If we were having an Alive After 5 concert downtown here on East Main Street, and you got out there with a trumpet and started blowing your horn as loud as you could to try to disrupt a civilized performance, this noise ordinance gives us the right to go in and first of all, ask you to cease, to stop. Second, you would be given a warning. Third, you would be given a ticket. Fourth time, you are incarcerated. And that's the same thing that we do for anybody that tries to disrupt, that's too loud, that tries to disrupt any activity.
So this is not about being a street preacher. This is not, is it a violation of free speech?
That was the big question, and that's the reason why that we chose counsel from several different organizations, including the League of Municipalities and the Institute of Government, to make sure that this was not an infringement upon freedom of the speech. It's more of trying to direct people not to disrupt city activities or the Apple Festival or anything else that's downtown.
So if someone would go out there, blow a trumpet or anything, if it goes over a certain level, that it would fall into this.
As long as it's disruptive to whatever activity is going on at that time.
Now, with that being said, how does one measure if it's disruptive?
It's kind of like beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Disruption is if it infringes upon your right to participate in an activity. Okay, last Live After 5, we had Bo Schrantz here, Fantastic Shakers. Bo's great band, great musicians. I have a right as a citizen to come here, sit up a lawn chair on East Main Street, and listen to the Fantastic Shakers. Now, if somebody stands in front of me, yells at the top of their voice, or does any other disruptive behavior like that would interfere with my rights as a citizen, then yes, we're going to follow through with that.
Going on to that, many of our sister cities around the country, the state, are having problem with recycling of where to take stuff to. And Lincolnton is actually suspended temporarily, from what I understand from the press release, temporarily has suspended recycling services. Can you give us any insight on that?
Yeah, I tell you, it is a major problem for all cities and counties, not only Lincolnton. The source of our recycling purchases was China. And China has stopped buying recyclable materials from the United States. In other words, the market dried up. And so we did suspend, we were told given one day notice, 24-hour notice, that we would no longer be participating in a recycling program. We had partnered.
How does that happen? You just all of a sudden call the city, by the way.
Oh, by the way, guess what? There isn't any place for us to dispose of this. And so we kind of scrambled trying to figure out what to do. Let me remind everyone that's in the city, you are also a county resident. What I've been doing is I've been taking my recyclables. There are several recycling centers that are close to us. One up on Alsden Road, one on Car Farm Road, one on Tin Mine Road. I still use my recyclable tray.
So no, the county still offers the services. It's just not the city.
Right. County still has it. They have a contract that has not finished, that is still in an active state. What we are going to do is we're going to set up our initial plans, but we are setting up a garbage truck at City Park. And City Park, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, that's where the rail trail starts. It is across from Lincolnton High School. We're going to set that up on Saturdays and just see if there is enough interest. Initially, we didn't have a lot of people. The vast majority of people in Lincolnton weren't participating in the recycling program. So we're going to try to measure if there is an interest in it. There is a company that will do our recycling and have agreed to do it at a very costly measure. Used to, recycling was one of those things that you actually made money off of recycling. Now you have to pay people to take your recycling.
Right.
The whole idea behind it was to save space in the landfill, and so that things that weren't biodegradable would be removed from the landfill and placed somewhere else. That's still our desire. We don't know right now how we're going to do it, but we're going to try that on a limited basis for several months and see what kind of participation we have.
You know, a lot of downtowns have either did one or the other. They've either grown rapidly or they've died down, which is very sad to see. A lot of towns, even in our immediate neighbors, a lot have, either died or they're flourishing. I consider Lincolnton to be a flourishing town. Talk a little bit about the strides that the city and the community has been very active with about the downtown revitalization.
Yeah, we took a proactive stance early on, and that was that, whenever the big box stores come in, and I won't mention any names, it did affect downtown. It affected it drastically. We don't have the Belks. We don't have the BC Moores. We don't have the Western Autos that we used to have downtown. So what we've tried to do is we are offering business incentive grants to try to encourage people
facade
to come
grants
down. Facade. And also no-interest loans to people that want to come downtown. And what that basically is that the city will loan you, or if you qualify for the grant, we are encouraging people to come downtown. Another flaw that Lincolnton had that we've taken care of, and it's an evolving process. So many of the ordinances weren't business friendly, so we've tried our best to make our ordinances more adaptable to businesses so that it encourages growth, doesn't discourage growth. Another thing that we've done, and this was very costly on the city's part, we have improved the infrastructure downtown. Everybody keeps on talking. If you don't do something about the infrastructure, what are we going to do in a few years?
Well, and recently on Water Street,
right,
which just completed in August here with the new water lines there, that will help that growth. And already you have multiple businesses that are coming on Water Street, which used to be almost a ghost town down through there. And
the whole idea behind, and let me explain that to your listeners, Matt. The whole idea behind Water Street was that the businesses that are on the Water Street side of Main Street, most of them receive their water at the back of their stores, right, not off Main Street. We've tried to keep as many utilities as we could off of Main Street and do the street immediately behind, either Sycamore or Water. We've already done Sycamore. Sycamore, we came in with and increased the water line there. We've added new sewer lines, new electrical feeds, so that it not only helps those streets, Water Street, to expand, but it also, the end result will be that it helps the store owners on Main Street.
Well, and also, too, here in recent months, and even the last 2 years, there's more individuals moving downtown with the new lofts. You have with the City of Lincolnton has the new apartment phases coming.
Right, that's a partnership with Piedmont Properties. And the first one of those, if you know where the city hall is, it's right across the city. Yep, right across the street from that. It's going to be phase 1. Phase 2 and 3 will follow down Sycamore
Valley,
right?
Down the hole, as a lot of people call it. With and you've got a lot of the owners are now building above. They're buying the old buildings up.
We're encouraging people to have residential on the second floor. First floor, it's still a business district, so businesses will still operate on first floor. But we're encouraging apartments on the second floor, loft apartments. And we've had several. I couldn't tell you an exact number, but I would think that it's probably close to 10 apartments that have located downtown now.
Very nice, very nice. Another heated thing that's kind of came from we knew it was coming,
right?
But I don't think any of us actually believed it would ever happen, and that is the removal of, not the removal of the courthouse, but the courthouse itself.
Relocating
the courthouse. Not actually tearing it down, nothing like that, but the actual moving of the actual, I guess, the system. What is that going to do, if anything, to downtown Lincolnton?
I think it's going to have a direct effect on downtown Lincolnton, mostly for the restaurants, because if people come, they're either on jury duty or they're on trial for different things, or they come to use either the Register of Deeds or the Clerk of Court's office. One of the things that I hope, and keep in mind that the courthouse and Register of Deeds, Clerk of Court, all of that is county managed. It's not city. But I do hope that the county commissioners look long and hard. I know that they've eliminated doing the renovations on the current courthouse, which I don't understand. But there is another spot that's downtown, off of Grove Street, where that is between Grove Street and where the probation office is. That courthouse and all of its services could be located there. That would be minimal impact on downtown. If they move over at the old hospital site where the health department is now, that's going to have a major effect.
Could Lincolnton be headed to somewhat of what, Newton, downtown Newton, North Carolina, when they removed its courthouse? Now downtown Newton, not talking bad about our neighbors, but there's a lot more empty buildings downtown Newton. And whether that's from that or whether it's not, could that possibly affect it?
And it's really hard to gauge. You wonder how many people that are on jury duty actually use restaurants downtown. And keep in mind that Lincolnton is not just downtown. We run all the way out through Boger City. So it may have an effect on the downtown part, but Lincolnton will still benefit from the courthouse being located in Lincolnton. My only hope is that they do decide to keep it close to downtown.
One thing, just looking out our studio window now, I'm looking downtown Lincolnton. You see the flags, you see the planters, you see our pottery on parade there. That is all a part of an equation that has happened through the downtown revitalization, not just facades, all that. It's all one part of our direction for Lincolnton. So with that being said, if you are elected this November, what is your vision? And it's actually, you now will get a shot at 4 years because of the General Assembly. So what's your vision for the next 4 years for downtown Lincolnton?
Downtown Lincolnton, I hope, continues to prosper. We're doing everything we can to try to encourage people to come downtown. We're also, and I had mentioned this last week at a ribbon cutting, we're changing the climate of Lincolnton with the new tap rooms that are opening, the new brewery. It is bringing in more people to downtown, and will bring in more people downtown. Younger people. I'm of the age where that it's not as attractive to me as it is, say, somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So we're trying to keep that in mind and trying to make it where that it is a destination spot, where the people will come to Lincolnton for a purpose, and that's either to eat at one of our fine restaurants and then enjoy the draft houses, either the brewery or the tap rooms. We've got one that's actually opened, untapped territory. We've got brewery is in the works, and 2 more locations, one off of Main Street, right, where that will be opening. Let me also mention Chick-fil-A. So, Lincolnton is growing. I hope that growth continues, and I hope the people are happy with the type of growth that's coming.
Well, Mayor Hatley is the Democrat nomination for the mayor of Lincolnton. He is your current mayor of Lincolnton, and actually he is running unopposed this year. The mayor, thank you so much, and I guess I would assume congratulations, because you're unopposed. But
you never take anything for granted,
right.
And I learned a long time ago. Anytime that there's election, you never take it for granted,
right?
And As always, I will try to be receptive to everyone. Before I go off the air, I would like to thank Matt once again for his participation in this series. I hope that everyone has a chance to listen to all of the candidates. Make your decisions based on who can do the best job for Lincolnton.
Very good. Mayor Ed Hatley, Mayor of Lincolnton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Matt.
Don't ever miss a beat. Take us with you. Download our new L-Town Radio mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Proudly sponsored by Mitchum's Kitchen.